Welcome back to the Forgive Yourself podcast. I'm your host, Brenda Reese. In the last episode, we talked about the idea that you are not broken, that even the parts of you have judged the most, your body, coping strategies, choices, our timeline, like we're not there yet, make sense when it's viewed through the lens of survival. Now, that episode was really hard for me to record. It took me hours. And I think I went and did the dishes, and then I went and cleaned out a drawer as I was preparing for that because it was pretty vulnerable. And it sharing the places of shame and where I held guilt and especially the shame was really important for me to share because so many of us are holding these secrets inside us. And as I talked about in that episode, learning years ago, it's the secrets that'll kill us, right? Because they weigh heavy on us. When we are able to talk with somebody who isn't judgmental of us, I mean, we're all a little judgmental, but someone who can hold the space for us to be able to share what we think are our deepest secrets, it's so healing and powerful because like when I did that, I shared about a fifth step when I was getting sober. And I remember sharing with my sponsor at the time, I'm just wanting to die. I mean, just trying to share this information. And she looks at me and says, "Is that it?" And I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "Oh, honey, yeah, I've done all that. And then let me tell you what else." And it just helped me to know I'm not alone and that my brain, parts of my brain, my ego, whatever we want to call it, will try to keep us separate. Okay. So I really encourage that anything that we have within us that you think is wrong or that you've done wrong or you are wrong, write it all down. Talk with someone that you can really, now this is important, that has your best interest at heart, that will hold the space for you, not fix you, not do anything with it somewhere and not take it on. That's also important, but just to be able to hold that healing space for you. Okay. Because I truly felt 20 pounds lighter. And after recording that episode, I felt lighter. So thank you for being a witness to my journey. And I am honored to be a witness to your journey as you share things with me and you share things with others because we all heal together. Now, today, I want to gently explore something that lives right alongside this truth that we talked about in the last episode. And that is the relationship you have with yourself. Because so many high achieving women I work with don't hate themselves, but they also don't really like themselves either. They tolerate themselves, they manage themselves, and they critique themselves. Can you relate? And often without realizing it, they live in a quiet, ongoing relationship with judgment. Not loud, not cruel, just constant. So today, we're talking about what it means to begin learning how to love the woman that you have been judging. Self-judgment doesn't usually show up screaming, at least not for me. Now it can, and it has for me. Sometimes it does. It's like, sometimes mine's harsh. You idiot. What did you do that for? Or why the hell can't you do blah, blah, blah? Okay. That happens for me. And I know that I'm not alone in this. That's the beauty of doing this work, is knowing that I'm not alone. Yet the harshest self-judgment can be that quieter voice. It shows up as, why am I like this? I should know better by now. What's wrong with me? Why can't I just get it together? Now, those can kind of sound reasonable, right? Because they sound like good questions. Because, and, it can also be interpreted as motivating, possibly. It's like, how we do to ourselves? You can do this. You're smart. You have a degree. You've done the work. Okay. That's my voice. Maybe you don't have that. I think maybe some of you do, but it's kind of like that. It reminds me of that junior high or high school coach, right? Yelling at you. Oh my God. I had a really wicked one in junior high in sports. Whoo. I know she was meant to bring out the best in us, but man, did she scare me. Okay. But she thought that's how you motivated, right? Was yelling. Okay. But you know what? Over time, doesn't this become exhausting? And what happens is it shapes how safe we feel inside ourselves. Because I didn't feel safe having the coach yell, but also having myself yell at me, trying to motivate me. If you find that the dominant voice in your inner world is judgment, then your nervous system never truly gets to rest. And that's what I have found as I have gone through these decades of adulthood. My nervous system had been taking a toll. And I've shared about that in other episodes, and I'm still working with it today. So I don't think, after all this time, after trauma and the different things that we've done, I don't think that it's something that we ever, well, I think we can get to restful. I think we can do it. But I think it's something that, like forgiveness, it's a practice. It's a constant thing. So, as I was pondering this, I'm like, where does this voice come from? This inner critic, this judgment, or our judging self. Because most of us didn't wake up one day and decide to be hard on ourselves. I don't think so. Did you decide to be hard on yourself? No, we learned it. We absorbed it. We internalized it from the voices around us, parents, teachers, religion, culture, siblings, you name it. And we also learned that being good, right? Like we talked about the good girl syndrome or the good wife, or like last time, the good patient. We learned that being good meant being easy, helpful, high performing. And don't forget, low maintenance. No needs or wants, right? Well, which, on that one, what came up for me was, according to my exes, they thought I was high maintenance, right? But I tried to stay quiet, not have any needs, not have any wants. Yet I think they felt it was high maintenance. That was interesting, right? Now, when we weren't these things, easy, helpful, high performing, low maintenance, we learned to correct ourselves, right? If I started to be like high maintenance, I learned to correct myself. And eventually, I didn't need anyone else to correct me or tell me that I wasn't being low maintenance, because I took over the job. That's what we do for safety's sake. We take over that correction, that job. Now, learning that our inner critic had a purpose. Growing up, that inner critic, it tried to keep us safe. It tried to help us belong. It tried to protect us from rejection or abandonment, to fit in. But now this strategy that once protected us became something that is quietly harming us. I've noticed something both in my personal life, right, and my business life, and with so many women I work with and that I know. Real change rarely comes from being harder on ourselves. If it did, I would be in a different place today. But I sure tried. Most of the time, the real change comes after we feel a little safer inside. Safer to tell the truth about what we're actually experiencing instead of what we think we should be feeling, doing, knowing. sane. Safer to admit that something hurts us without immediately trying to fix it or talk ourselves out of it. How many of you do that? Safer to acknowledge that a part of us is struggling. This is a big one. Without making that mean we're weak, we're broken, or that we are failing. That's been a big one for me, feeling like if I didn't do it right, I was failing. When we're caught in self-judgment, there's often a part of us that actually is asking to be cared for. Not correction, not fixing, just presence. So maybe instead of trying to push ourselves into healing, like I had been doing, what if we got curious about what might happen if we met ourselves with a little more kindness? I know that can be a tough one. I think sometimes we think we're being kind, right? When we're critiquing ourselves. Yet, is it being kind? So what if we just started noticing that? And what if we met ourselves with a little bit more kindness? Not because we're doing it wrong, not because we need to do it better, but because we're human. And humans heal best in spaces that feel safe. So we can stop and go, gosh, what does love actually look like then? What does that mean? What does that look like? Because a lot of us don't know, right? How do I love myself, Brenda? That's what I hear a lot. Loving yourself doesn't mean you suddenly feel amazing about yourself all the time. Let's be real. It doesn't mean that these affirmations that's everywhere, that they actually feel believable. It doesn't mean you never have a critical thought. Again, that's not about love. Love in this context I'm talking about looks much simpler. Love looks like pausing before attacking yourself, learning to do that. Love looks like acknowledging something in me is struggling, right? When we're thinking, why can't I figure this out? Maybe we can stop and go, wait a second. What's going on? Like we would a friend. Love looks like choosing to listen to your body instead of overriding the sensations and the feelings of being tired or frustrated. This is information. Love looks like letting yourself be human in all of our messy humanness, not perfection, not getting it right, actually really allowing those feelings that we feel when we're alone. Those feelings of, God, why can't I just be me? Why do I have to watch everything that I say and do? I'm exhausted. I'm tired. Letting ourselves be human in all of our messy humanness. You know, love says, I am willing to meet myself with curiosity instead of attack. Love says, I choose gentleness over punishment because we punish ourselves. We've learned to do that. Love says, I stay present with myself instead of abandoning myself. That's what I had been doing, you know, in the last episode, going to these appointments or trying to do the best that I can. Being the good girl is abandoning ourselves and all those parts of us that got abandoned when we were younger. Love isn't something you wait to feel once you're healed. Love is how you choose to meet yourself while you're in the process. So before we move into a small practice I want to share with you, I want to name what self-judgment can sound like because it's often subtle. Remember, it doesn't always sound harsh. Sometimes it sounds like, why am I like this? I should be further along by now. What's wrong with me? I know better than this. Other people seem to handle this better than I do. It can sound reasonable. Then remember, it can even sound motivating. You can do this. You're smart. You have a degree. You've done the work, right? But underneath it is usually a part of you that's tired, more than likely exhausted. A part of you that's really overwhelmed. And a part of you that really wants some understanding and to be heard. So if any of those sound familiar, my friend, you're not doing anything wrong. You're human. You're beautifully human. And we're finally willing to accept that and to step into our true selves. So now let's talk about the small practice you can do if you notice self-judgment coming up. So what I encourage you to do is, to gently pause, take a breath, because that's a great judgment pattern interrupter. Taking a breath, it's easy, it's free, it's cheap, right? If we can take a deep breath, that will stop those thoughts for just a moment, but enough to where we can pause, okay? And take better control. So what we want to do is gently pause by taking that breath. And then we want to tap into the energy of curiosity. Get a little curious. And instead of asking, what's wrong with me? You could try asking, what's hurting in me right now? What is it that I actually need? Maybe it's attention. Maybe it's food. Maybe it's water. Maybe it's let me just step away from this situation. Maybe it's stepping outside. Maybe it's a little play. I don't know. But your mind will tell you. She'll tell you. Your body will tell you. Now, instead of asking or saying, I should be over this by now, right? That we can do. You might explore, this is still tender for a reason. I wonder what that is. Not to force anything to change, not even to make yourself feel better, simply to meet yourself with a little more honesty and care. Sometimes that's enough to begin shifting things. Remember, it's a simple practice. We just need to simplify. We already punish ourselves trying to make ourselves do hard things. Yes, we can do it. It doesn't mean we're weak. But really? Has it worked? I'm finding for me that it hasn't. Simple. Just stopping and breathing and pausing and getting curious has been a game changer for me. And for this simple practice, there's a download available in the show notes to guide you through the process if you want to go a little bit deeper with it. But I want you to know that you are so worthy of your kindness, because many women are incredibly kind to others. They're patient, they're understanding, they're even forgiving, and so harsh with themselves. That was me. And I'd like to offer you this reframe. You deserve the same tone you give to the people you love. You deserve to be spoken to gently with your own voice. You are worth your own kindness. Learning to love the woman you've been judging is not a one-time event. It's a practice. It's a returning, a choice that you make again and again. You don't have to become someone new to deserve love. You don't have to fix yourself first. You don't need fixing. You don't have to earn your own kindness. You begin right here with the woman you already are, my friend. Because you are worthy and you matter just for being you. It's only those old stories that tell you you're not. And if you're struggling with this, you can borrow my belief in you, because I do believe in you and that you matter and that you're worthy. You can borrow my belief in you until you feel it yourself. Until next time, my friend, know that you matter. Take care. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did enjoy it, would you do me a favor and share this episode and then follow us on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss one episode of the Forgive Yourself podcast, where every Friday you will get tips, tools, and stories so that you can turn your pain into peace. Take care.